but it's true. It's not so dark, but it's sort of.
I don't know. I take it just sort of accept
It's sort of-
nothing's going to be different.
Right, nothing's going to change.
Just follow
Right,
their-
exactly.
their-
Right. Which,
their
well,
normal pattern.
right.
It doesn't
But I mean,
say, it doesn't say do anything terrible. Or they
No,
be-
no.
Be immoral.
No, it doesn't. It's sort of. I suppose it's sort of a little bit,
hopeless.
defeatist. I guess
Yeah.
it's sort of,
Like this is the way life.
like this is
Yeah,
it, and it's not going to get better. It's not going to get worse. It's just nothing you can do.
Right,
You
it's
have
going
to
to follow
learn.
its, it's
Isn't
going to
that right?
follow
You
its
have to
course.
learn
That's
to
it.
take the good when it's good and
Take the
when
good when
there's
it's
a time for
good, but it's all vanity. I mean, learn, don't learn, drink, don't drink. It's all, It's. I mean, it's, and it's fast. I mean,
They don't use the word vanity, they use the word breath, right?
hevel. Well, yeah, not vanity. All is, temporary. All
It
is,
disappears like your breath.
right.
Yes,
Right.
that's what
All right, page 14 or 46. Hey, John. Yedi nefesh avarachaman mishoch avdach heritzonach yarutz avdach imohayam ishtachavel moladarach yerav lo yedidutach minofetzuv lechol tam Adonai hazim haolam nafshi chol adavatach Anahel narefanala meharona noam zivach hazir chazeh v'tirabeh v'ha'etala shivchat olam v'tigehemuna orachamecha v'chuznal beno havach and gizek aman ichzom nichzav lirav deferet ozach anahili machmalevi choshana ve'altidalam higalena hayofras chaviv alai hesugad shelomach tahir eretz mikivodach nagila v'nizmechamach maherahu kivamoed v'choneini kimeolam lechu niranena Adonai Nariyan to Ishenu נקדם אפניו ותודה בזמירה נריענו. ארבעים שנה אקוד בדור ואומר אמתויה לבבם והם לא ידעו דרכי אשר נשבעתי בימים יבון אל מנוחתי. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו מסרו מיום ליום ישועתו ספרו הגויים כבודו וכל העמים נפלאותיו כי גדול אדוני Avol Adonai Gavod Raos Gavol Adonai Kevod Shema Seu Mincha Uvahol Chatzrotav Ay 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 Ishtachavol Adonai Mehadrat Kodesh Chilu Mipanav Gol Haaretz Imru Vagoyim Adonai Malach Avtikon Tevel Bahalti Mod Yanin Amim B'Mesharim Yitzmechu Hashamayim V'Tagel Haaretz Yiram Hayam Ola Yalo Sadai V'Chol Asher Bo As you're running new kolat say ya'ar lifnei Adonai kiva lishbot haaretz yishbot emel v'tzedek v'hamim v'emunato Page 17 or 51. Or zaru al tzadik ul Yisrael lev simcha simchu tzadikim b'Adonai ve'odu lezecher godsho mizmor shir l'Adonai shir chadash. לפני הנורא קיבל לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים במישרים, אדוני מלך, ירגזו עמים, יושב קרובים, תענוד הארץ. Moshe ve'Aaron bekohanav u'Shmuel bekorei Shemo korim el Adonai ve'hu yaneh עושה היית להם ונוקם על עלילותם רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו כי kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Page 20 or 54. Mizmor leDavid havu l'Adonai be'elim havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz ay 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 havu l'Adonai gevot shemo yishtachavu Adonai v'advar kodesh kol Adonai ha'alamayim el hakavod irim Adonai almayim rabim kol Adonai ba'koach ay 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 kol Adonai shoeh hadar kol Adonai shover arazim v'yishaber Adonai edar ze halvanon v'yarkidem gemo egel levanon v'siryon kemo venereimim ay 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 kol Adonai chotev lavotesh kol Adonai yachil midbar yachil Adonai midbar kadesh kol Adonai cholel ayalon vayechesof yeharot v'chalo kulo omer kavod ay 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 Adonai lama bo yashav vayeshev Adonai melech leolam Adonai oz le'amo yiten Adonai yevarech ramo v'shalom ay 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 Anna bekoach bekoach gedulat yemincha yemincha tatir serura gaber natamecha sagveinu tareinu nora Anna bekoach gedulat yemincha tatir serura kaberina rina damecha sagveinu tareinu nora hey 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 yada hey 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 yaba hey 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 yaba hey hey Page 21 or 56. Lechadoni ligrad kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmianu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה, לך אדוני לקראת גלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך אדוני לקראת גלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלחקים מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך אדוני לקראת גלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך אדוני לקראת גלה, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה. היי 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 קומינסהי מתוך ההפכה. איי 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 לך אדוני לקראת גלה, בני שבת נקבלה. רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה. היה והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. איי 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 לך אדוני לקראת גלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי, על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי, קרבה אל נפשי גהלה. איי 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 לך אדוני לקראת גלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי גבעה הורג ומאורי אורי אורי, שיר דברי גבעות אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך אדוני לקראת גלה, פני שבת נקבלה. איי 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 לא תבושי ולא תקלמי, מה תשכחי ומה תמי, בר יחסו עניי עמי, ונבנית העיר על תהילה. לך אדוני לקראת גלה, פני שבת נקבלה. איי 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 איולים שיסה שוסייך ורחקו כל מבלייך, יסיס עלייך אלוהייך, ימסוס חתן על כלה. Al Yarish ben Parzi ben Nismecha Nagila Lechada Dilechadoni Likrat Kalabe Neshama Nekamelam Boi Veshalom Hateret Bahala Gam Besimcha Uzahala Torech Emunei Am Segula Boi Chala Boi Chala Lechadoni Hey Likrat Kala Likrat Kala Neshama Nekabela Ay 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 Leyom HaShabbat, page 23 or 59. Od Yenuvun B'Seva Neshenim V'Rananimiyo Le'agid Ki Ashar Adonai Tzuri V'Lo Avla Tabo Adonai Malach Geud Lavesh Lavesh Mikolon Ma'em Rabbi Madir Mishbolay Edo Techanem Numeon Levet Chana B'Kodesh Adonai Leorech Yamin. This week we observed the Yartzeiton of Charles Saunders, father of Barbara Saunders Adams, Goldie Smith, mother-in-law of Doris Pat Smith, Malky Steinberg, grandmother of Florence Grossman, Irving Geller, father of Ed Geller, and Dina Ehrenreich, mother of Zach Ehrenreich. May their memories and the memories of all those whom we recall be blessings. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 62 or 24. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Vitadar, vitale, vitalal, shmeid, kudsha, brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehe shalama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. O say shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. You may be seated. Good Shabbos. It's so nice to see all of you. I want to sort of open a brief conversation, which is about this. So one of the features of Yaakov's life that runs throughout his life, I think, actually, from the time when he sees the ladder with the angels ascending up until this week's Parsha, when before he's going to reconcile with his brother, he crosses over this mysterious river called the Yabok River that we don't know really where it is, and it says he's alone, and he wrestles with this Ish, this man, this God maybe, or with himself maybe, because the text, of course, says he's alone. And he comes out of it with a blessing, and he comes out of it injured. And I think both of these stories highlight something about Yaakov's life, and this is the thing that I want to sort of open a conversation about and just check in with one another about, is that his most profound and direct and, I think, transformative experiences of God and divinity happen when he's by himself. And, I think it's fair to say that Judaism, by and large, and certainly the Judaism of the rabbis, which is our Judaism, is, I think, overwhelmingly sort of communal in its outlook. And the rabbis imagine that the heights of prayer, of course, can only happen in a minyan, and this is, we talk so much, about the idea of community with a capital C, which is why we're all here and why there's this building. But I think there are some of these other somewhat subterranean voices in the tradition that actually suggest something quite different, that the most profound kinds of experiences happen when we're alone, or can happen when we're alone. And there's a story that the Baal Shem Tov tells about, he encountered the tree of life, and he asked his students asked him, what it was like and what the experience was like, and he said, well, I was walking, across this huge field with throngs and throngs of people, and there's this tree in the center, and we're all sort of approaching the tree, and as I get closer, there are fewer people around me, and then suddenly I'm right up against the tree, and I look around and I realize I'm alone. And so I guess I'm curious about, and if this stirs something, you can either think it or share it or whatever. I'm curious sort of where, y'all are on this, and where, where divinity feels most, where our lives feel like they rub up against divinity most closely. I mean, is it in community? Is it here? Is it elsewhere? Is it?
I was just thinking, I have something to say about the community thing, but when he's walking, right, and there's all these people, and he's like out in the field, he can see everyone, and as he gets closer and closer to the tree of life, when he's smack against it, all he can really see is the tree of life. It is only, in a way,
Right.
him and the tree. Like, he wouldn't necessarily be aware, maybe, once he's like in that space.
Like even if there are others around, he
Right,
wouldn't
that they
necessarily.
kind of-
Yeah.
But I was thinking about when I first started davening, and I went to Israel, and I learned about hitbodedut, which like going to a place by myself to pray, finding a spot to pray and just have a conversation with God. And I remember that was for me, and has been over time, a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
And to
Yeah.
be by myself, and it doesn't negate the power of praying in community. I don't, and I wouldn't, I'm not so presumptuous to say I've had these most amazing divine experiences, but I'm just saying that my attempts, when I'm by myself, are very like deep and earnest, and just more like out there.
Yeah. No, and of
But
course.
it's also out loud. Very
That's also,
personal
uh-huh.
and out loud.
Yeah, which is how hitbodedut, which is as the practice you're describing, it's something that was very important in Bratslav Hasidism, and for Rabbi Nachman, he thought basically that the heights of religious experience were when you do, you go out in the woods and you just pour your heart out, basically. And of course, we don't have to choose. It's not like Rabbi Nachman didn't think you had to choose, but I think for me the stories of Yaakov sort of cast this in relief in a certain kind of way. I don't know if that calls up anything for anyone. Yeah.
So for me, I think, when I'm on my own, it's really more selfish. So I'm thinking, God help me, or, I need something. Whereas when it's in a community, it's more kind of, I wouldn't say joyous, I mean, there's definitely joy there, but it's more kind of uplifting, and you're part of this wave, if you like, that's
Right.
carrying you somewhere, which is less in my control, so to speak, but also kind of on a path.
Right. Yeah, I think I share that. Yep, Jill?
I was gonna say, it's, what Hilda was talking about was our intentional it's you and yourself, or it's you and God, but it's just you and whatever you have access to that you're reaching out to. So, at that point, I don't know if I know for myself if it's been just praying for something or praying to God or just whatever you have the opportunity to reach out to at all is what you're left with when you're
Right, and I think there's a piece of, in the Yaakov story, I think there's definitely, the story wants us to at least, I'm not sure to say what this is the shot of the story, but the story wants us to at least consider that Yaakov is alone, right? That he's basically wrestling with that he's basically by himself, right? He's basically alone by himself, and that he's wrestling more or less with himself and with his own kind of stuff, which ultimately for him is transformative, because he's then going to go and basically make peace with his brother. Of course, his brother has something to say about that too. It takes two to make peace, but it also injures him. Like he walks away with a limp, right? There's a danger to kind of the isolation that he experiences there, and he sends his family away, and he really, and so it's dangerous too. There's a hazard there when you're alone in the dark, Call up anything for anyone else? Yeah, Larry.
I just say finding spirituality alone is much harder than finding it in community. If you can find it alone, it's probably a very different level of spirituality.
Does it feel like it would be a higher level, or would it be just a different,
Yeah, higher.
if you could find it alone?
It just seems like harder work.
Yeah, I think it is harder work. I think that's for sure. I think it is harder work. Like, I think if you've ever really tried, Heat Bodhidut, as I will admit, it's not really part of my sort of daily religious practice. Maybe it ought to be, but it is, in the times when I've tried it earnestly, it is very, very challenging to sort of get out of your own, or get out of, or get deeply into your own head, whichever it is.
I love just what Jill said in that, when sometimes you find yourself in situations where you're crying out to God, or you're by yourself, and you just are faced with things, not by choice, not by choice.
because you're,
Right,
because you feel abandoned by everything
right,
else, not
exactly. That's,
because you're intentionally trying to achieve that.
it's a totally different, and I think that experience of crying out when you're by yourself and there's no one there, just you, and I think is something that, I don't know, I think it's something that's maybe a little more universal than certainly than it would have.
The last thing I'll just share, and then we will move on to Maveriv, is I think this kind of thing is very important, right? To share to explore our prayer lives this way, and sharing, the notion of confession and confessional, and we didn't just do confession, that wasn't what this was, but it was sharing something of ourselves with the community, and confessing something in a certain way. It's about something that has a very, very sort of non-Jewish cultural baggage associated with it. But confession, and particularly, and we're talking about Rabbi Nachman a little bit, but particularly among the early Hasidic masters, confession, i.e., sharing with people you love and trust about your religious journey. Either with your Rebbe or with the other Hasidim. This was actually a core element of religious growth and of Jewish practice, and I would, and I think that that's an important corrective, and something that shouldn't get lost. That this is actually, sharing about our prayer lives is actually a very authentic and important Jewish activity. So call it COVID for doing that. And I hope we can do it sort of more in the coming weeks and months. We'll continue with Ma'ariv on page 28. Does anyone want to take over from Ma'ariv? Sure. Steve? 28 or 64.
hu et Adonai hamivorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam vaed. Baruch Adonai asher b'yirah chochmah yishalem. Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila. Adonai tzivahot shemo elchai v'kayam. Tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam vaed. Baruch ata Adonai hama'ari v'aravi. Avat olam b'yisrael chavda. Dora l'mishul shtukim v'shvatim atam. Halken chacham nasim. Vichem chem. Yavad kal tasim men le'olamim. Baruch ata Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael. Adonai Eloheinu. Adonai Echad. V'yavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'divarta bam v'shiftecha v'veitecha u'leftecha v'aderech u'shoftecha v'kumecha u'kshartam leot ayadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'ktavtam hamzu beitecha u'visharecha. Natati Natati Hashem Loti Santamente Uktavam Adonai Elechem Emed 32 or 70. Malchuto b'ratzon kiblo alehem Moshe uvnei Yisrael lecha anu shira b'simcha rabba v'amru chulam mi chamocha b'elim Adonai mi chamocha neda b'kodesh norati lo sefer Malchutecha ra'u v'anecha bokeyam lifnei Moshe ze Elianu v'amruhu Adonai imloch le'olam v'ne'emar kifata Adonai Yaakov u'golo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch ata Adonai Ga Yisrael Hashkivenu Ushmor tzeitenu U'enu l'chaim u'l'shalom yata v'yad olam U'fros aleinu sukat shlomecha Baruch ata Adonai Haporei sukat shalom aleinu v'yal kol amo Yisrael v'yal Yerushalayim V'sham meru b'nei Yisrael Et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat Ledoratam berit olam Hay Beini uven ben Yisrael Oti le'olam Ki sheshet yamim asadon et hashamayim v'et haaretz uvayom hashiri Shabbat v'it kedashmei rabba. Adi brach yirutei v'yamlit malchutei b'chayecho u'v'yomecho uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'izman kari v'yimeru amen yehi shmei rabba mevarach ve'olam ve'omei Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shmei l'kudisha, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran b'yama v'yimeru, amen. Page 47 or 89. Vayhulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzivam vayachal Elohim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa vayishbot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa vayevarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i v'yakadesh oto ki vo shavat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov v'Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Konei Shemayim v'Aretz Magen Avot Bidvaro Mechaye Metim B'Mamaro Ha'el HaKadosh Shein Kamohu Hameni Rak Le'amo B'Yom Shabbat Kodsho Kivam Ratza Le'Haliach Lahem Kivam Ratza Le'Haliach Lahem Lefanav Navod B'Rav Lefachad V'nodeh Lishmo B'chol Yom Tamid Me'on HaBerachot El HaHodahot Hadon HaShalom Mikadesh HaShabbat U'Berech Shvi'i U'Mediat V'Kedusha Le'amei Dushei Oneg Zecher L'maaseh V'Reishit Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu B'tzei V'mnuchatenu Kahashenu B'mitzvotecha V'tein Chelkeinu B'toratecha Sabenu mituvecha, v'samchenu b'shuatecha, v'taher libeinu, li'ovdecha b'emet, v'hanchilenu, Adonai Eloheinu, bi'ava u'ratzon, Shabbat koshecha, ve'anufu v'Yisrael, mikadeshei shemecha, Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh haShabbat. Yigara Shemei Rabba. Yigara Devi Amlich Machute v'Chayachon v'Yomechon u'v'Chayei D'chol Beit Yisrael v'Agalav Yizman Kari v'Yimeru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorah. Yolam Yom E'amaya. Yitbarach Yitbarach Yishalach Yitbarach Yitramam Yinaseh Yitadav Yitlav Yitlav Shmei L'Kudusha. Le'lam Yikol Bechata v'Shirata Tush Bechata v'Nechmata Tamiram B'Yama v'Yimeru. Yilol Solon V'Odkon D'chol Yisrael Kodam V'Lhon Divi Shemaya v'Yimeru. Yesh Shalom Min Shemaya v'Chaim Aleinu v'Yakol Yisrael v'Yimeru. Hu Seh Shalom B'Mromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu v'Yakol Yisrael v'Yimeru. Amen. Yidush. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch Adonai melech haolam hasheked yishmor tzedakah v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yavav v'ratzon hilanu zikaron ma'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila l'nekrai kodesh zecher l'yetziat Mitzrayim ki vanu b'charta v'yotanu gidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat koshecha v'yava uvratzon hichaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon ha'kol l'ateitu l'aleotzeh breshit shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'goradeinu k'chol hamonam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachlim u'modim Lifnei Melech Malchei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ein Hod al Kenan. Shaddai V'Cholim. Hakim. Yichvod Shimcha. Kakatu Adonai Yidonayim Loch Le'olam Va'ed. Melech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad. U'shemo Kaddish Tom, page 52 or 101, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal, v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah. V'yalmat, divrach, yirutei, v'yamlich machutei. B'chayechon, v'yomechon, u'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala, u'izman kari, v'yimru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach, le'olam le'amei amaya. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, Shmei D'Kudusha, Richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata. Da'amiran b'yama v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya. V'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael V'yimaru. Amen. Good Shabbos, everyone. This week's Kiddush is sponsored by Maria and Anna Maeve's house in honor of Maria and Emily. How lovely. And if you're willing to volunteer for sponsoring Kiddush, Andrew Rothberg's the person to contact. Anybody have kids between the ages of 2 and 6? No, moving right. Yes, okay. Seedlings, out to laugh, learn, a relaxed environment on Shabbat tomorrow. Also, I want to mention to everyone here, we are doing a particular musical Shabbat starting, we're going to do this once a month for the next several months. So we're starting that as a new program starting tomorrow, and we're hoping if people could show up at 9:30, that would be wonderful, because we're going to start out singing and try and keep it up the whole time. Women's group will be tomorrow. Book group's coming up. Hanukkah will be 6 to 7:30 on the fourth night of Hanukkah, which is December 21st. And they were hoping for people to RSVP. So December 21st, the fourth night of Hanukkah, will be here at the PJC.
If anyone wants to help with that,
We could use some help. Okay.
I think.
Right. And the other thing I wanted to mention, 2 other quick things. The time has rolled around again this year for the PJC players to have another performance this year. It's going to be in the springtime, but they're going to have auditions, first read-through on January 1st to celebrate the new year. And the show will be How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, which I remember very fondly, but I haven't heard anybody talk about it in so long. So, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. And then finally, I'll mention there is a program sponsored by all the conservative synagogues in Westchester County called Boundaries and Belonging. It's led by the Shalom Hartman Institute from Jerusalem. And the first program will be Tuesday night. That will be at Bethel. There will be a total of 4 programs, the final of which will be here at the Pelham Jewish Center. And it promises to be a good question. There's a flyer out there. It's at
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Soup kitchen.
And the Soup Kitchen,
It's Thursday.
Thursday. And
What are you looking for? What's the tuna casseroles?
I've never made one before.
Okay.
I made them.
I'm gonna make one.
West.
I'm trying to make it.
I
What is
went
that?
We're trying to Google it, I think it's something from the 1960s.
My wife likes it. What Melissa likes it.
It has cream of mushroom. I love
cream of mushroom shoot with those little onions, the dried onion things.
Anybody who wanna make
potatoes
it,
on top.
just text me, I'll buy the ingredients, I just bought them.
And what, just that?
What's that?
Just tuna casserole?
Berries and clementines or apples.
But if you do the tuna casserole right, it sticks to your ribs for 2-3 weeks. Okay, 53-114 Yigdal. Yigdal Elohim Chai v'yishtabach nimsa v'yenet el mitziuto echad v'yen yachid ki yipudo ne'lam v'gam ein sof le'achuto ein lo demut haguf v'yeino guf lo na'aroch elav kedushato kadmon l'chol davar asher nivra rishon v'yen reshit l'reshito hino adon olam v'chol notzah yoreg gedulato u'malchuto shefa nevuato netano elam shesegulato v'tifarto lo kam l'Yisrael k'mosheho Navi Mahavi et Tmunato Torat Met Natan Le'amoeh Hayat Nevi'o Neman Beito Lo Yachal Yifahel V'lo Yamir Dato Le'olamim Le'zulato Sofer Yodea Sitareinu Mabit L'sof Davar B'kadmato Gomeli Chesed Kimi Balo Noten Rasha Rak Rishato Yishlach V'Ketchamim Mishichenu Lifto Mechakeket Yeshuato Meitim Yichayel Berov Chasto, Baruch Adeh, Shem Tilato, Meitim Yechayael, Berov Chasto, Baruch Adeh, Shem Tilato. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. Rock and roll. My food is it's drying out in the oven. Getting drier and drier in the oven.
My food is getting hot.
Yeah, her personal chicken, her chicken is getting, the juices are getting sucked out by the oven.
That's probably something you would think that I
It worked out. It was good.
Yeah, I'm gonna get them.
We wanted to travel.
But it gets too loud, it's too loud. Is it really
Taking
expensive?
the piano, I don't think it's too loud.
Where's that? We did it. On Shabbos.
The rabbi and Jonas taking lessons.
There is like someone else. So if it ends, it ends at like 7 p.m. on
Hello?
Friday, so then if you don't get
Hello to you. Like, it's very old.
Is the deal the piano like
I don't know, I mean, you won't have something open, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. Use it for the pizza.
Or we'll burn it.
One way or the other.
All right.
I'm not sure I would have got that. If you like,
I'm inviting you over for the first pizza. I'll get back there. My mother and father-in-law. The second pizza you're gonna be here.
Yeah, Michael. Migrants import food.